Hello, my name is Andy, and my group members Muhammad, Nathan, Ariful, and Charlie will be presenting our group research project on Bluetooth and digital money.
Bluetooth is a type of technology that allows for the transfer of data between two or more devices. It uses radio waves at around 2.4 GHz, or 2.4 billion waves per second, to send data between devices that have the option to enable Bluetooth at relatively short distances. While this may seem similar to Wi-Fi, there are some important differences to note, as Wi-Fi is used to connect to devices to the internet, such as an iPhone to the Internet router, whereas Bluetooth connects devices from other devices like from an iPhone to AirPods. Bluetooth is much more efficient because it uses just 1 milliwatt of signals and connects directly to devices instead of having to use a networking medium such as a router. Another advantage of Bluetooth is that the frequency between the devices will change thousands of times in a manner called frequency hopping, so that Bluetooth connection will not interfere with other Bluetooth connections. For example, the frequency between one's AirPods and iMac will change over 1,000 times per second, so that the connection between one's iMac and wireless keyboard will not be manipulated. Bluetooth is extremely useful because it can connect to several devices. As is expected, Bluetooth is very relevant to the field of engineering, as connecting between several devices is extremely useful. Bluetooth modules come in different sizes, and they all perform virtually the same job, with newer modules adopting the latest types of technology, resulting in faster response times and text signals. There are even newer features like low power modes, where devices like a smart trash can will alert when it's full, but will be mostly inactive for the majority of the time. The wireless nature of Bluetooth allows for endless possibilities for engineers and computer scientists to create new solutions and projects that solve issues that we see in the world today. For example, Bluetooth is being used for wireless patient monitoring, which is where various sensors will detect pertinent aspects of the human body, like the heart rate and blood pressure, and will send this data automatically to the nurses and the doctors. It's also helping hospitals with secure data transfer between certain systems and between different hospitals. In many scenarios, this allows for data transfer to be automated instead of having to manually input data into each device, which ultimately saves everyone involved in the process a lot of time and a lot of money.
Given the modern age, a wireless solution that allows devices to connect with each other in a short range while consuming relatively low power is a necessity. Bluetooth fits the requirement standards of being robust and reliable while also being able to cooperate with the wireless local area network. Bluetooth allows for multiple wireless links between devices, which is a much better alternative than having cables connected to several tablets and smartphones. Being forced to use cables is problematic since you would have to worry about the length of such cables and how to keep the cable connected even when in other rooms, among other issues. On the other hand, Bluetooth allows for much greater mobility for people to move devices around in all sorts of everyday environments, such as when they are at home, at work, or at school. This type of technology makes baby monitors possible, making it easier for parents to keep track of their baby in another room. It makes it possible to change music or adjust the volume with wireless speakers connected from one's phone. A practical and recent example of how Bluetooth has been used to solve a modern problem is with the app TraceTogether. Designed by engineers and programmers in Singapore in the wake of the pandemic, the smartphone app is used to make contact tracing easier. When a phone comes into contact with another device that has the app installed and Bluetooth switched on, both contacts are stored in encrypted form in both phones through the Bluetooth connection. If someone who uses the app is then infected with COVID-19, they upload their data to the Ministry of Health, Singapore's public health body that works with TraceTogether, which then decrypts the user's information and contacts all the TraceTogether users in the infected person's contact list. For the past 2 decades, Bluetooth has revolutionized how we live our lives by making the electronic devices that we need to use connect with each other. A world without Bluetooth technology would be very bleak and inefficient, as we would have to spend more time trying to figure out ways to connect our devices to each other while also spending far more money.
Engineers have found many problems with Bluetooth over the past 2 decades since its introduction to the market in 1998. They have found that as time progressed, many devices and applications needed newer forms of wireless communication that earlier forms of Bluetooth couldn't deliver. Bluetooth has evolved from many stages and has gone from Bluetooth 1.0 to 2.0 all the way to its current stage, Bluetooth 5.0. One of the main problems that RF or radio frequency engineers discovered in around 2008 was that most devices connected with Bluetooth 3.0 constantly needed to pair and repair with each other because they weren't in use most of the time, which leads to drastic energy depletion and inefficiency. Bluetooth 4.0, also called Bluetooth Smart, fixed this issue by sending smaller bits of data between devices and by putting the connection to sleep for most of the time instead of maintaining an unnecessary constant stream of data for a connection that is inconsistently used. Another problem that was brought up was that every day people want to view data or other information from their smartphones or tablets instead of having to use specific devices that monitor each phenomenon. For example, many people have to wear blood glucose monitors or pedometers for health reasons, and that data is usually sent to a specific wristwatch or device dedicated to only receiving that bit of information. Bluetooth 4.0 also made it possible for monitors and pedometers to send data directly to a phone or computer with an intermediary device, which is excellent for the modern world where since most people don't want to carry around more devices than they need to. Despite the fact that Bluetooth is used in various scenarios and environments by billions of people worldwide, there are still many ethical and safety concerns regarding the technology. The most known issue is the fact that your Bluetooth devices are discoverable and can be hacked by anyone who can connect to them with their own device. After connecting to one's device, malicious viruses can be sent to one's device, which may be difficult to remove. Other concerns are that hackers can take control of a device like a smartphone and even steal personal data. The main way to ensure that nobody steals your personal data or hacks your device is to make your device undiscoverable so that nobody can connect to it. The average American uses at least half a dozen devices every day that can connect with Bluetooth, and keeping track of all of them at the same time and making sure these devices haven't been compromised is no tall order. In the future, we may have to examine new possibilities that include adding extra security features into electronic devices that have Bluetooth capabilities.
This is Ariful Islam. For this for the Bluetooth presentation, I chose two coding examples. Both of them are written in Java language. Both coding examples were provided by developers Android.com. The code on the right shows how to set up a Bluetooth profile. A Bluetooth profile is a wireless interface specification for Bluetooth-based communication between devices. This example shows how to set up a headset profile which will allow a mobile device to connect with a wireless headset, with the caveat being that both devices must support a headset profile. The first line is defining the headset profile with the name Bluetooth headset. The second line of code is setting up the Bluetooth adapter. This calls the device's own Bluetooth adapter and is required to be called for any and all Bluetooth activities. The rest of the code is setting up a service listener, the getProfile proxy function, the onService connector function, and the onService disconnect function. The service listener lets the device know when it is connected to the headset profile. The getProfile proxy function establishes the connection to the profile proxy with the profile that will be used. For this example, that will be Bluetooth headset, which was defined at the beginning. The onService connector function gets a handle on the proxy while the onService disconnected function will let go of the handle on the proxy. The coding example on the left is querying a set of paired devices to see if the device that you are trying to connect to is already known. This is done by the getBondedDevice function, which is called in the first line of the code. The rest of the code is getting names and address of devices that are paired, which will be used to connect with them. This is how devices that have connected in the past connect again seamlessly.
If you're an engineer and are looking to innovate new solutions or products that will make you money and solve problems, then creating technologies with Bluetooth would be a great opportunity since there are many things that can be theoretically done with Bluetooth. A recent question posed to engineers working with signal frequencies is how Bluetooth can be used to detect where an object is down to the exact millimeter. Using PAL trackers for everything is obviously annoying. So, great possible idea is to advance Bluetooth so that it can relay where the device that it is connected to is to the most precise possible degree so that people will spend less time looking for their devices. It can also help with other things, such as when people are at a museum and they can one day use the Bluetooth in their phones to detect where certain exhibits are in the building so that they can go to the areas where they want to go instead of relying on maps or having to ask many questions to other people. This idea can also be used for other environments, such as a person who is trying to figure out where their seat is in a movie theater, or when trying to find the exact item you're looking for in a supermarket. The directions of where you want to go can be sent to your smartphone or sent and told to you through headphones. Another challenge is the issue of codecs, which are programs that decode and encode data streams. For example, a high-quality speaker can be paired to the latest smartphone and still experience terrible audio quality because of the different codecs. The solution is to put a minimum codec in the most modern devices from here on out in their hardware and use Bluetooth to connect with all the devices with little to no problem. This is beneficial since all devices will not only be compatible with each other, but all devices can be found easily and send data to each other.
There are many resources out there to learn more about Bluetooth technology. A good place to start is Bluetooth.com and DeveloperAndroid.com. Bluetooth.com has several videos going over the technology, such as a demo for Bluetooth Low Energy and how LC3 will impact the Bluetooth listening experience. The site even has several developer resources for those who want to use Bluetooth technology, such as the Bluetooth Developer Starter Kit, which is a self-study kit that gives a key understanding to Bluetooth low energy concepts, and a series of development projects to try for yourself. The website's perfect for anyone who wants to get a good understanding and start their own projects for Bluetooth. The other website, developerandroid.com, gives an overview of what Bluetooth is and how it works. It also gives users examples to program Bluetooth into Android applications by giving skeleton code for users to start out, such as the one I used in the coding example. This website is good for for using Bluetooth technology for Android app-based applications.
Here are 5 questions that you should be able to answer after watching this presentation. First question, what is the number of radio waves that Bluetooth technology utilized to send data between devices in gigahertz? Question 2, when was Bluetooth technology first introduced into the market? Third question, when is setting up a Bluetooth adapter required? Fourth question, what is the name of the self-study kit that gives a key understanding to Bluetooth low energy concepts in a series of development project to try for oneself? Fifth question, what is one thing a hacker can do when connected to your device that was discussed here? Now you can pause the video to answer these questions. Okay, here are the answers. To the first question, it is 2.5 gigahertz. Question 2, 1998. Third question, for any and all Bluetooth activities. Fourth question, Bluetooth development starter kit. And the fifth question, upload virus or steal information. That's what a hacker can do. On this slide is our references that we used for the presentation on Bluetooth. Some of these references were images that we used for our presentation, like that Bluetooth icon that's on this slide. Resources like controlenglish.com, designweek.co.uk, windowscentral.com gave the group more information about how Bluetooth could be used and how Bluetooth could be applied, such as the application that used Bluetooth to track coronavirus in Singapore. On the next slide is some more references that we used to research that we used for research for our presentation about Bluetooth. We used references like developer.android.com to get some coding example using Bluetooth, as well as Bluetooth.com, which gave us our group some resources to learn about Bluetooth. Overall, Bluetooth is a powerful technology that allows devices of different designs to communicate with it. This is the end of our Bluetooth presentation. Thank you for watching our presentation.
Digital money is a modern era method of doing transactions. The idea behind digital money is that instead of using physical objects to perform a transaction of goods, the money is digitally stored and represented. For example, instead of giving a cashier $10 in physical cash, you simply send the money through Apple Pay, PayPal, or any other technical means. A transaction made using any technical method can be called digital money. There are also two other types of digital currencies called virtual and cryptocurrency. While digital currency can be used for legal tender transactions, virtual currencies are not recognized by any regulated body. A simple way of understanding this is that your Roblox, V-Bucks, Gems, and Riot Points are all a form of virtual currency. They are a currency like that of an arcade token. Cryptocurrency is the latest entrant to the digital currency landscape. Simply put, cryptocurrency, also called crypto for short, uses encryption, hashing, or contracts to perform transactions, or even a combination of these three. This is significant because these mediums are useful ways to perform transactions securely while maintaining security via cryptography, centralization, or even decentralization, depending on the implementation. The concept of digital money takes many notes from engineering design, as it requires specific protocols and implementations to maintain security as well as trust. These mainly include programming methods. that, simply put, performs several checks to verify the integrity of the transaction before it is complete. In the case of digital money used by investment applications, these transactions must be recorded in a ledger or order book to maintain trust among the community, as well as provide history to the value of the currency or currencies being traded. There are many computers, or even supercomputers in some implementations, that verify the transactions of digital money, and the transactions will not continue until then.
Two vastly different applications of this technology and their impacts. Digital banking. Digital banking made it possible to send money to people without physically giving the money to them. The money doesn't even reach the other bank physically until up to many days later, at least for most American banks. This revolutionized how we would pay for things among each other even to now. This technology has allowed more liquidity of cash than ever before. Bitcoin. Bitcoin was first publicized in 2009 via a white paper online outlining its technical details. Bitcoin is a decentralized cryptocurrency that relies on the blockchain. The blockchain is a ledger that shows every transaction of Bitcoin, and every computer has a copy of this blockchain if it has a means of sending or receiving Bitcoin. Very simplified. Think of it like this. You, John, and Sally put $50 into a cash pool. There is now only $50. John takes $10 from the pool so that you all make a note for yourselves that John took $10. John then tries to make $50, as he did not take a note of the $10 he took. Because of this, the ledger you have all kept shows this is impossible and not right. Aside from being physically impossible, it is a record kept so that integrity is maintained. Since Bitcoin, there have been hundreds of new digital currencies taking off and opening up a new industry known as the cryptocurrency. It has made its mark on society in many ways, with some cryptocurrencies acting as a middleman for foreign exchange. For example, exchanging one tender for another at an equal value, and other attempts to take off as a main medium for transactions in general through the use of smart contracts and the blockchain.
One ethical issue that can arise from the centralization of such currencies, in the case of general digital currencies such as the USD, it is feared that the USA, or any country for that matter, can print more money, thereby deflating the value. The purpose of printing more money could allow for more deficit spending in this case, as the state actor would not truly have the money and only a digital representation. In the case of virtual currencies, anybody, usually a company, can directly control the exchange value at will for any reason or manipulate its controlled economy to force more exchanges through the medium even if the underlying value hasn't changed. In the case of cryptocurrencies, centralization can lead to companies printing more tokens/coins. Like the case before, this can be used for many purposes, but most importantly for self-gain. If a company controls a cryptocurrency and a cryptocurrency is worth, say, $1 per token on the market, it is feared that a company can suddenly pump thousands of new tokens onto the market and subsequently sell them to unknowing buyers. While this will deflate the value of the company's cryptocurrency and potentially be corporate suicide, the damage will already be done, and those who lose are those who bought the currency, as they will be nearly worthless afterwards. Most digital currencies, such as Bitcoin, have better technical security than most forms of technology. However, that doesn't mean that we don't need legislation regulating these currencies and also laws that protect the privacy of users. There will be depressions and recessions in the future, which will lead to people drifting towards digital currencies as an alternative to the US dollar and other forms of conventional currencies. But this cannot happen until most people are satisfied and convinced that this relatively new form of currency should be used. Some challenges that digital currencies like Bitcoin may face is the fact that they are open communities, meaning that there is no central authority or global regulator. This is a major problem when considering the fact that Bitcoin has been used by some people to purchase drugs and other items in the black market. It is harder to trace where the money goes from person to person when it comes to Bitcoin, since a lot of emphasis is placed on masking who The user really is to keep their privacy, but this can backfire when the transaction involves illegal activity like drugs or the illegal sale of firearms. And because of this and many other reasons, governments around the world resist the adoption of digital currencies since it would mean that they cannot control this new form of currency as opposed to the national currencies that they regulate and have control over. While digital currencies do face challenges, there are also many opportunities for people to invest and start using them because there is no guarantee that conventional forms of currency will always stay afloat and won't collapse in the future. We aren't even a quarter way finished with this century yet. We have two major recessions. The ups and downs of the unpredictable financial system will push people to going towards cryptographically protected and privacy-oriented currencies.
There's two resources to check out to learn more about digital money. The first is Coinbase.com. This website has simple to understand definitions of relevant terms for digital money in a flashcard format, much like Quizlet. The site teaches users the basics of cryptocurrencies, its significance, how to be safe, buying crypto, and selling and using crypto. If you're really interested in using digital money, then this site is a great place to start for beginners. The second resource is Investopedia. It's a great place to go in order to have a greater understanding of digital money. The site contains several articles written by experienced investors, which gives those who don't have much experience an idea of how digital money works. Like the previous website, this website will also teach users how digital money works along with guides on how to buy and sell digital money. The difference is that this site provides more in-depth explanations to how digital money works. So if you want a deeper understanding of how digital money works, then this site is the way to go. Here are five questions that you, the audience, should be able to answer after watching this presentation. Question 1. When was Bitcoin first publicized? Question 2. What is the latest entrant to the digital currency landscape? Question 3. What's an ethical issue related to digital currency? Question 4. Which resource presents information in a flashcard format? And question 5. What made it possible to send money to people without physically giving the money to them? Feel free to pause the video in order to answer these questions. Alright, here are the answers to the questions. Question 1, the answer was 2009. Question 2, the answer was cryptocurrency. Question 3, the answer was deflation. Question 4, the answer was Coinbase. And question 5, the answer was digital banking.
For this presentation for digital currency, we have used several sources from the internet. We used freeicons.png to find pictures needed for this presentation, such as the logo for Bitcoin that you see here, as well as logos for other digital currencies. Blogideo.io had a lot of pertinent information on the differences between digital currency and what makes them different from conventional forms of currency like the US dollar. Investopedia had a lot of topics of digital currency and the basics of how to use it, like how currency is traded from one person to a business to another person or a business, and how this type of money is used mostly on blockchain networks, and how there is, generally speaking, no financial oversight involved. Also, many of the other websites that were used here was to get pictures that you see on this PowerPoint so that it could act as a visual. Overall, it is apparent that digital currency will have a large impact on the future, and it will have a definitive impact on how we will live our lives. The transition to a digital currency will likely speed up, given the fact that we have touched on a second Great Recession within the span of only about 12 or 13 years. The financial instability of tomorrow is something that should not be taken very lightly, and that we should think about ourselves and society as a whole as to discussing whether digital currency should replace a regular currency in the future or not. This concludes our presentation for the digital currency. Thank you for listening.